Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to be having this exclusive roundtable about safety and ethics in the age of AI. This is a very, very important conversation that I'm super excited about, and let's just dive right in. So I want to briefly have everyone introduce yourselves. Tell us a little bit about you, what you're building, and why you're on this panel today. So let's start with Asuka. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Asuka. Hi, nice to meet you all. My background is in human-centered design. So basically, building a product and businesses for making the people's life better is something that I have been doing. And now, more than product and services, I want to change the world by building a society and the world itself. So now I study ethics because I believe that ethics is really a foundation of what is making the world what it is.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Donna, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. You should come closer, all of you. I'm Donna, and I am from Sweden and moved here about 3 months ago, and I am currently co-founding a company called Sader. My two co-founders are back in Sweden, and I'm here. So a hybrid team, and the problem we're trying to solve is how can we help companies that are growing super fast in the era of AI to stay mission and vision aligned. Awesome. So we help them automating business flows to make sure that it's all intact and it doesn't drift. And we are pre-seed, and we are still trying to work on building an MVP for that.
Awesome.
Stay tuned.
Thank you so much. Thank you. All right, go ahead. Yes, Alejo.
Hello, everyone. My name is Alejo Kane. I am a co-founder of Snappy Compliance. And what we're mostly building is doing compliance for robotics, automation, and hardware. And our main goal is to shorten the time frame that people need for getting their robots certified. My background personally is in mechanical engineering, building race cars, and also robotics, working for several startups in Netherlands, Sweden, and Japan.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. And Ash, can you please introduce yourself? Yes.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me here. Name's Ash, currently in Vietnam for the Agentic Build Week. Been an AI and cybersecurity engineer almost my whole life. Started coding when I was 10 years old, one of those kids, you know. Now I'm building Antitech with my co-founder Rami. We basically protect your AI agents. If you have any agent running in your system, be it on your website or in internal workflows, if you have an LLM or even physical AI, we do pen testing, we hack it, basically we find vulnerabilities and then autonomously we patch everything. So yeah, that's a quick overview.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ash. Thank you so much. All right, excellent. So, and a little bit about myself. My name's Lee. I'm the co-founder, CEO of Pulsar Innovations. I host events like this to help energize this Tokyo startup ecosystem and raise awareness of some of the issues that are really, really pressing in the world today. So hopefully you guys enjoy this one. So here's how it's going to work. We're going to do a spotlight round where each person on the panelists will have about 5 minutes to discuss a topic. And then we'll do a group discussion with some lightning round and close, and then an audience Q&A, which is the very important part. Hopefully you guys brought some good questions, all right? Why are we here? It's because a handful of companies, right, these ones here, are deciding our future right now. And we don't have any say about it. And we believe that we should have a say in it. And I hope after this conversation that you all have some practical tools that you can use to protect yourselves in these types of situations. Are we ready? Yes? All right, excellent. Very, very good. Okay. So the spotlight round, first up is Alejo, okay? All right, so this is the question that I'm gonna ask you because, we got people like Elon Musk, we got, all these people who are building all these robots saying there's gonna be 1 million or 1 billion robots by what, in the next 10 years? What's the compliance blind spot that worries you the most? And what should a company building and deploying robots be thinking about today that most aren't?
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you, Lee, for supporting this. And also now I know I'm going to get grilled in Q&A, but I'll try to answer this question as best as I can. The biggest blind spot I see in physical AI and robotics right now is mostly that people equate compliance to safety. This is definitely not the case. Something can be compliant, as I use as an example all the time, is a knife. Fully compliant, but you can still stab someone. The case is very much true also for software. We have like audit tools and all this type of things. And in robotics, I would say in software, if something goes wrong, you just roll back the server, right? In robotics, the arm just goes right through the wall. And I think this is definitely a blind point that we have. Also, secondly, is that the use of LLMs in robotics is not deterministic yet. It's not deterministic full stop. And that's something we do need in robotics. You need to know exactly where things stop, where they go.
So yeah, like in terms of that, like what do you see right now that's most concerning to you in the field of robotics at the moment? Yeah.
I would say the most concerning thing is that we're adding all these sensors to robotics and home automation tools. And they're gathering data in all types of ways, in audio, video, sound waves. It can be Wi-Fi channels, and we definitely don't know where it's getting stored. Definitely something we, as a company, we don't pressure companies to do so. They're not legally bound to, but we definitely make them conscious of the fact, where are you storing the data and what are you doing with that data? Because children are involved, old people are involved, people run around their house maybe naked, for example. What is happening with this data? You know, that's definitely a thing I am very, very much scared about.
So what does safe even mean for robots operating in our house, right? Like, you know, we see these ones where it's like, okay, this robot will do your dishes, it will cook for you, it will watch your baby. But what does safe even mean if that's the goal? Yeah.
Safe would mean it has to be a closed loop system running its own models. Definitely not the situation we have right now, where people are teleoperating, meaning it's like radio controlling robots from a different country or somewhere else. You never know who's buying the panel. I would love to see more companies being more transparent. Who are the operators of these robots? And again, what are you doing with this data? And vetting the people that are also controlling that data.
In the current situation, do you think that the people who are requiring these robot companies to be compliant, do they even know half of the problems that they're building legislation around, or?
That's a good question again. I'm not saying we're lobbying for it, because we are very, very small fish at the moment, but we're growing. We're definitely having conversation with especially the European legislators of saying, okay, can you please think about these problems, as I mentioned before, data sovereignty, like what servers and so on. As for the companies, it's just a case of hand-holding. Like, be like, hey, guys, be more than just compliant. Try to be safe. And the reason why I pitch it all the time is that it's not about the safety, it's just so you can save money later, so you don't get a lawsuit later. That's how I pitch it to people who just don't care morally. I would say, no, it's going to save your butt when you will get sued for this in some point. And hopefully coax them to be a bit more mindful of what they're doing, ethical.
Right.
Yeah.
So last question for you, Alejo, is, a lot of people, when we think about the AI apocalypse, robots are always involved in that. Do you see that happening, or, I mean, is that sci-fi?
So is Terminator coming to your house tomorrow and shooting beams all over the place? As I've worked in robotics and still do, I still make parts for customers, off the record, by the way, if they need it for raising money and so. We're not there yet. We're kind of okay, but the flip side of it is we do see a lot of application in defense, and I would love to see that we have more systems to defend against that worldwide, and have some basic accords around the world of how to use this and not use this.
Right, because many people forget sometimes that robots aren't just humanoids; they're also drones, right? They're autonomous, like missiles and stuff. Exactly. So we have to be careful of that as well.
Your washing machine is a robot. It's the most successful robot in the world. A washing machine.
That's right.
So it starts like from real small.
That's right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alejo, for those insights. All right. Next up, we want to talk to Aska, who's an independent researcher at the University of Cambridge. So, from a research standpoint, okay, what's an AI ethics issue that isn't getting nearly enough attention right now, and something most people in this room probably haven't even considered?
Okay, so before answering the question, I want to ask you a question.
Oh, a question with a question. I like it. Exciting.
So what is ethics for you?
Ethics for me is like the moral code that we all live by, right? We all live by that, and it's all subjective experience, right?
Yeah, definitely. So in a way, it's really about, your own judgment of what is good, what is bad, right? So everybody have different interpretation of what is good and what is bad. That was the nature until now. But now, what I think is the most critical issue nowadays, especially with AI, is this ethic is now run and also made by AI instead of by human. So AI, probably like many of you know, AI really normalize all the data. So they curate all the data and they normally answer by giving the average, which means that all the ethic or what is good, what is bad, instead of having a diverse idea of what the ethic is, it's actually becoming averaged out. So all the ideas that was a little bit unique, in a way outlier, is now in a way gone. It's cleaned up. So nobody actually have a diverse ideas, especially with acute use of AI. So I think that is the biggest issue nowadays. So people start to judge things based on like what AI is answering, and that becomes the normal, and that is brainwashing ourselves. So yeah, I think that's what we have to be aware of. And for that, like we have to make sure that all the diverse ideas and diverse, reasoning of good and bad should be here in the world.
What about bias, right? Because obviously these companies are all American companies that are building these AI models and stuff, and a lot of the data is being trained at the moment is based on maybe American data or maybe American inputs. How does that affect, how people in Japan or other people around the world actually use these things?
You know how some academia now call AI usage in the world? It's kind of called colonization of AI companies is what people call as well. So most of the data often coming from in a way like West countries, for example, Europe and America, and also all those kind of large economies in the world. So a lot of information, a lot of judgment is coming from those information. And for example, Global South, now only 16% of the world is using AI and have access to AI, which means that those information from 4% of the people isn't really there. So that is really a critical issue, and we really have to be aware so we can be a little bit more diverse in terms of the collection of the data and also the fine tuning of the model itself as well.
Yeah, and I think that obviously there's so many uses for AI. We can literally do anything nowadays, right? And it's only going to get more, advanced. I've seen recently people falling in love with their AIs, right? Yeah. Or maybe doing things that they shouldn't be doing with AIs with regards to, scamming people or causing fraud. Which one are you most concerned about right now that's happening right now? Yeah.
Okay, I think all of the problems that you have mentioned is really a critical problem. But I think extreme attachment to the AI model is something that we have to be really aware of, and we have to be really critical of, especially because AI is still a machine. It's not really a creature. And for example, change of the model, that really change the personality of the thing or robots or AI model itself and the answer itself. So yeah, those kind of attachment could be causing depression, for example, or maybe unsatisfaction of the life instead of making people happy and making better world. So those are the issues that I really think is really critical.
And I've seen many founders trying to build AI for loneliness. Especially for the older generation. Do you see that actually being a solution?
Actually, I am now doing a research around the topic.
Oh, okay, excellent. So maybe
that is actually a spot on. Anyway, to be honest, it's good and bad. So if you are living alone, instead of having nobody to speak to, actually it helps to have an AI assistant who you can actually chat with. And that really stimulates your cognitive ability, and also you actually feel positive as well. But at the same time, if it detaches people from actually having an existing connection with a human, that actually works in a reverse side. So you have to be aware of what kind of scenario that would be useful versus what kind of scenario we should be avoiding, so we can actually enhance human connection that is essential for people. But if necessary, we can actually intervene with the AI support.
Okay, and last question for you is, obviously AI is going to at one point be smarter than us. Do you think it would be ethical to use AI in government with regards to making decisions for us?
I think yes and no. I think it really depends how you use it. So really relying 100% without really understanding how the AI is making a decision is really difficult, because that could be controlled by one specific people, for example. That could be a centralization of power that is behind the decision. But if it's more democratic decision that is made, and if people are happy around it, so the final decision should be made by human. But if you can actually understand, and also if you can maybe scale curation of the data using AI, I think that is a really valid, useful way of using AI and leveraging AI.
Interesting opinion. Thank you so much, Asuka. Thank you so much. All right. Next up, we're going to talk about agents. Okay, Ash, are you ready?
Hey.
Okay, excellent, man. So, we got AI agents happening all over the place now, right? We got agents everywhere, agent to do this, agent to do that. There's so many things that these agents can do to us, but what's the most realistic attack you're seeing or fighting against AI agents? What's one thing us regular people can do about it? Yeah.
Yeah, so basically you see all of the classic cybersecurity attacks from the 2000s and early 2010s, like SQL injection, phishing, hiding maybe a JavaScript code inside a PDF file, and then you download it and your company is hacked. All of these now exist again in AI. So they just got renamed, they just got repurposed. So SQL injection is now a prompt injection. And a phishing attack is now an indirect injection through an email, for example. And basically how you do that, and we've seen like a lot of people already getting attacked through this, is that you give your agent access to so many things, so many tools. You give it admin access, for example, to your email, to your CRM, to your database, something like that. And then what we do is that we know what your email is, the one that your agent has access to. We send an email. It can either direct prompt in the email if you're an agent do this, or we can hide it. So we can send you a PDF, and inside the PDF there is an image. And when you see the image, you say, "Oh, it's like a normal image. There is nothing going on here." But actually, we're hiding a prompt under the image, or we're hiding something malicious under it. So the agent doesn't see the image like a human does, right? So it's going to read the pixels. So through steganography techniques, so like changing the pixels, you're gonna hide the prompt, and the agent reads that and it takes it for face value, and then it executes. So, and we've seen that attack in the wild. I forgot which company, but they they had their agent running on websites, and it fell on one website where it had this kind of image of a door. It just analyzed the image, and their email box got hacked immediately. So yeah, these are the kind of attacks we're seeing now, and we're seeing the same thing also in physical AI. So a couple of weeks ago, we were at ICML in Seoul, and we managed to hack a humanoid through an indirect prompt ejection through both LLM and voice. So you can change the frequencies in the voice, and you make it seem like two agents are talking together because there is like a consensus hack where one agent believes the other agent. And so we just do a man-in-the-middle injection where we change the frequencies from one voice message to another, and then the humanoid got hacked. So there are so many, so many ways now to tinker with them.
Okay, so what's one thing us regular people can do about it? I mean, obviously, it's getting more and more sophisticated. I didn't know that you
Yeah.
could get hacked by just having an image. That's crazy.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like, what can we do about it? Yeah.
Very easy. Just don't give your agent access to things. And if you do, just make sure it follows the policies, it follows the guardrails. But the thing is, it has to evolve every day because attacks evolve every day. And that's why we decided to create the tools that we've created. We want to create an immune system for AIs because the more AI is becoming like humans, the more you can manipulate it like humans. And so social engineering, for example, works on an LLM. You go to a chat like, I don't know, ChatGPT or Second AI, and you talk to it for 15 minutes, you get close to it, you adopt a persona. Next thing it thinks you're its admin. So it gets social engineered. So you always need to keep updating it. Just simple governance is not enough anymore. So you need to keep patching it regularly. That's what you need basically. But if you're just a normal person, you don't own a company, you're not worried about like getting like money stolen or sensitive data hacked. As far as it comes to that, just don't give your agent access to things.
But it's a catch-22, man, because like, us founders especially, we want to use agents to optimize our
Yeah,
workflows and be more productive, but at the same time, it's like, how much can we actually give them? How much can we actually, automate? And that's the
exactly.
balance, I think, what we have.
Exactly. But if you automate, at least don't keep your ports open, right? So I've seen people just throwing their agents everywhere, giving them access to like to analyze random websites or get like download random files or access some very critical tools.
Mhm.
So you have to keep them, you have to observe them, you have to monitor your agents, and also have to limit their accesses. Some things have to stay manual, otherwise we're going to need certain things that keep them at bay.
Like the human in the loop, right? Keeping the human.
Yeah, exactly.
Last question for you, Ash, is how is securing AI agents fundamentally different from securing traditional software?
So securing traditional tools like software was more static. So that's why we had an antivirus. That's why we have Cloudflare for cloud. So it's not dynamic. It's certain like viruses, certain Trojans that come here and there. And then the security teams are going to update that based on that because the software doesn't change. If there is a risk in the software, that's because it was hard coded or something they didn't realize or something got updated, patched like bit by bit. But the thing with AI is it's dynamic. There are almost infinite possibilities on the things that you can make with it. So when I chat with an agent, and let's say this agent has access to 5 tools, it has an MCP, it has like certain knowledge, has a database where it accesses the knowledge, where that database is also ever changing. So the field is much bigger, basically. Like the amount of attack vectors that you can do are much bigger. So you have the LLM, where you can basically chat with it and get it to do stuff. You have the APIs. If one of the APIs is misconfigured, you can access it through that API. If the MCP is badly protected, then you can hack it through the MCP. And then once you hack the model, or like you go through the workflow chain through the model, then you can hack the server, you can get access to the critical data of the company, and you can even make like money transactions. Like so for example, there's a bank called Mercury in the US.
Yeah.
I was shocked. Like I realized 3 weeks ago, I went into like the dashboard, and they have an LLM running there. You can chat with it. You can ask it about your data, about your bank infos. You can ask it to send money from point A to point B. So if you if a hacker comes in there and manages to hack an account, then does like privileged escalation from one user to another, then yeah, you're done for. Your bank account is empty.
Oh, well, no Mercury, guys. Security for Mercury.
I'm not saying it's a bad bank account, but they need security.
I see, I see. Well, thank you so much for that, Ash. Thank you so much for that, for those
Anytime.
insights.
Yeah.
All right, and last but not least, and for the spotlight round, we're going to talk to Donna. Yes, so Donna, we're talking about governance and regulation with AI, especially, right? So they're struggling to keep up. Governments always are slow. They're struggling to keep pace with AI. So what's the single biggest gap in how AI is governed today, and what would meaningfully close that gap? Yeah.
1, 2, 3. No, I'm just kidding. So to close that gap, we're talking about governance. And the way it looks like today is that you wait for frontier AI labs, bigger institutions, and very centralized governments to set the rules and the policies, right? So you have to ask yourself, what is a policy and why do we need policies? Mm-hmm. Anyone wants to answer that actually in the audience?
Why do we need policies?
Why do we need policies? So protection, right? Anyone else who wants to share?
Anything else? Protection?
Yeah, so something shared together. So basically, a policy or a norm is to help us navigate day to day together and to protect ourselves and to live in harmony, I'd say. Mm-hmm. And I think the gap is big now because, in a way, we are all expecting someone else to set the rules for us, the policies for us. Mm-hmm. And what I want to challenge here is that it should be a shared responsibility. Yep. So what's stopping us from setting our own rules, our own policies, when we, for example, co-found a company and deploy AI? You can set the limits yourself. So the answer to your question, I think, what I want to explore now with my business idea as well, is how can we help smaller companies to actually protect themselves, almost like building their own sovereignty. Because right now you see a lot of sovereignty AI on a nation level. But what about when it comes to a company level, where you have to shield yourself, and when there's someone threatening you, or whenever you have to compromise on your margins, then it's very important that you have to stand your ground. And I think, honestly, now when it's so easy to build products with vibe coding, I really think that it will be very important for you to really, I guess, to really believe in what you're building and to really take that responsibility on what you're putting out. So it's all about trust. You have to embed that in your identity now. I think it's going to be super important when you sell your product or when you find investors. Yep. So it's not just about having a cool product that solves a problem. Yep. It's about your story, your vision, and your mission.
Well, it actually gives us more power because, these governments, they're going to be, very slow. That's never going to change. But if you can actually set the governance within your own organization, that's key, right? Yeah. So what's a useful way that any startup founder or anybody who has decision-making power in a corporation can actually do that? Does it have to go down to the values of the company, or how can we make sure that our governance is
Yeah.
set. Yeah.
I think to really dare to slow down, honestly, when making a decision. I think it's very compelling to move fast nowadays because that's what people sell to you. Like, buy this tool and increase your productivity or efficiency by, X10. But I think if we just dare to slow down a little bit more, because like what Ash said about AI nowadays, it makes things change a lot more dynamically and not just linear. It's really hard to predict nowadays, right? So I think if you, as a founder, because if you found a company, if you have discovered a problem you want to solve, I definitely think you're competent enough to set your own pace and to set your own rules. And with that comes observation and patience also to do the right thing. So I guess leading, super cringy to say, but dare to lead with the heart and not just with greed to be fastest or the richest.
Well, we need more of that, honestly, because we're going into the situation where greed is really pushing these companies. They want to be the first. They want to make the most money. They want to have the best super intelligence, right? And things are a little out of governance at the moment. People are just going full speed ahead, right? So I think getting back down to that human level and leading with having your consumers in mind, I think would change a lot, right?
Yeah.
Just a quick follow-up question. Let's say a company has no governance at all with AI. The users, the employees are just building agents for everything, right?
Yeah.
What's the first thing that company should put in place?
The first thing they should put in place. Governance.
What does that mean? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I guess the why is honestly, I feel like you hear that from every motivational speaker. So I'm sure I'm not the first, but I really think it's even more important now, as a reminder, really discuss with your co-founders, your team, and have something to remind you of the why, really. Because somewhere, we do need to prioritize humans. I think now you do see a reaction now, an opposition to this oligarchy.
Yep.
And also the token limit.
Token limits, right? That's right. There's all this talk about, AI replacing all workers and it being cheaper, but then actually it's becoming more expensive, right? So many more people are realizing now that, hey, it's actually costing us more money every year because our employees are using it like crazy and they're using all these tokens, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah, it is. I guess you could use that. They can save money by using their heart first.
Exactly. Hire more people, hire humans.
Now, I feel like I'm not anti-AI. I feel like just like the knife, that was a really good example, actually, how it can be compliant. But it's really about how we use it. So we just have to put it in the right place. So be a lot more intentional about, it's all about attention now.
Yep. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. That's the end of the spotlight round, guys. Thank you so much for your insights. Okay, now we're going to go to the group discussion. And this is where I'll pose a question to the panel, and each of you will give an answer, a short answer. So, Ash, this first question is for you, okay? What's the biggest risk that we're underestimating now? Ash?
Yeah, I might take Aleo's spot here and say physical AI. I think we discussed this also on the podcast. So I think physical AI is the biggest risk we're underestimating right now. It's not even long term anymore because I've seen some crazy stuff during my travels these past couple of weeks when it comes to the advances in robotics. I think it's coming very soon, and we need to secure that because, as Aleo said, a robot can take stuff and can throw knives, right? So it's not like with an agent, just chatting or having access to tools. But I think as a company, though, not as the human race, as a company, the biggest risk they're underestimating is as I said earlier, like giving tools to their AIs, having their AIs have certain knowledge and have certain access to critical infrastructure in their systems. They're just trying to deploy faster, they're pushing so much resource and so much money into AI deployments and like burning down tokens, but very few people are thinking about their safety and security, unless of course it's a big enterprise and by default they need their governance and compliance. But very soon, all startups, all our companies are going to look for compliance. So yeah, that's my
Alejo, what do you think about that? What can you add to that? Yeah.
You already explained it perfectly. I would say to add to that, especially with physical AI, as you mentioned, the biggest risk right now is indeed all the vectors so you can tag it with. In the past, you were just running scripts, PID controllers, very deterministic software. You just load it up. There was a port. That's how people could get access to it. That's it. But nowadays, everybody has over-the-air updates and running agents on these machines, meaning they can be hacked in all kinds of ways. And again, I have to reiterate, it scares me sometimes when I go into a new company, new client, and to find out that all the information is stored on like the CTO's laptop.
Oh boy.
And the CTO's laptop is also watching anime and downloading games. And I was like, this is the machine you're using for all your clients? Okay, cool. We're stopping that day one. But yeah, definitely.
Okay, that's good.
I think that's where, like, what Donna say, like corporate governance is becoming really important, because all those kind of risks are everywhere, especially with AI. Like attack could be coming from anywhere, like in a situation where you don't really expect, right? So for that, I think, really making sure that those, risks are mitigated based on the governance, along with maybe, from like a more, policy level as well, and more like a national security level as well, where maybe, for the frontier lab, for example, in US nowadays, government actually is discussing around how they actually have to make sure that, those AI models are secure enough before that is released to the public, is something that might have to be considered in the future, so that, those kind of unessential risks, all those kind of risks could be mitigated before it's actually reaching out to the public.
Well, yeah, we just saw Fable 5 get delayed a bit, and then they got finally released. I mean, that's a good sign for governance, right, Donna?
I agree. I think they're doing something there by really slowing down, because I do know that Anthropic, that are building Fable, for those who don't know, they're losing money on this too. And that speaks so much to how they are actually prioritizing humans over money, showing that. And I think a lot of people are attracted to them because of that too. So that is proof for how it's okay to actually slow down. Yeah. And I think it's a good example on a company level as well.
Actually, yeah, it's great because, it cost them some money at the beginning, but now it's actually leapfrogged OpenAI to be the #1 AI company in terms of revenue, which is great, because people are trusting them more. Yep. I think people trust Claude a bit more than OpenAI, especially after that whole thing with the government, right? Yep. I knew I switched right after that. I was like, I'm not paying this guy anymore to be doing that type of stuff. So I definitely see that as a benefit. All right, awesome. Next question, guys, because I definitely want to get to the audience questions afterwards. Where do you guys disagree? Is there anything that we all, any of you guys said anything today that we disagree on? Ash, anything that you disagreed with at all?
Honestly, I don't disagree with anything. Maybe we might misalign on like the timeline, since we work on different things, someone works on governance, someone works on compliance. So the timeline is definitely different. So for me, I think the most important thing right now is the architecture itself, permission, sandboxing, approval gates, those certain things like hard-coded and actually securing the cybersecurity way. But I think for the others, it's mostly about governance and putting the human first and thinking in a manner that's still ethical. And so I think that's the misalignment where it could be.
Okay, excellent. Anyone disagree with anything here?
I have a small disagreement. This might be outrageous to say. It was mentioned beforehand that people should vote, for example, and that's how we use AI. And then people could vote, and then we choose the AI agent to do the work. What I've seen in the last few years, especially that populism is definitely something that's controversial through social media, where I'm quite scared if people are able to vote, do they actually know what they're talking about? So we should have like some committees or some veto rights from time to time of experts as yourself that can just say, no, guys, I know you guys voted this. I think you want this, but no, this is not good for you. So there needs to be some fallbacks in the system for sure.
Yeah, I really think so as well. Especially, those kind of extreme, opinions, especially, for example, politics and also anything in general is accelerated by algorithm as well, I think. Like if you actually see specific topic, and if you like it, then you're gonna start to see similar topic or even the extreme version of your opinion. So your idea become a little bit more polarized than in general. So I think be able to see all the different opinions in the world, I think that have to be assured. And also make sure you understand why algorithm actually showing specific post to you is something that we have to be able to see as well in the background.
Don, anything you disagree with?
No, I agree.
Awesome. Simple. All right,
Yeah, I
excellent.
agree.
All right, last question for the lightning round is, what should we remember in 3 years, right? So 2 to 3 years from now, what's the one shift in AI safety, security, and ethics that you want everyone to remember from tonight? Yeah. Ash, let's start with you. Yeah.
I think for me, it's simple traceability and continuous adversarial testing. I think that's where my industry at least is moving in the next 3 years. NIST has already confirmed it. There was a research paper published by NIST where they said continuous adversarial testing is the thing for AIs because one and done patching is not valid anymore. And then also, yeah, from everything we've been seeing lately, I think AI is going to need an immune system. And when I say AI, I mean the whole agentic stack, like be it like tools, be it something on your browser, on your laptop, or in a robotic system. So, and as you guys said earlier, robotics aren't just humanoid. It's drones, it's tanks, it's satellites. I've been following because I'm really into astro stuff. I've been following lately the advances in satellite systems, and they've been like trying to put agentic workflows in them. And DEF CON this year in Las Vegas, there will be big publishings on how to hack the satellites, not from our side, but from people I follow. So yeah, that's we're gonna need to remember in the next 3 years that we're gonna need to build an immune system for all kind of artificial intelligence on this planet to
Ash,
protect ourselves and protect the systems.
Ash, you have a very mischievous laugh.
Thanks, man.
I think you'd be hacking one of these satellites pretty soon.
I'm on the good side for now.
For now, he says.
For now. All right, anyone else? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
I would say definitely there's a big push towards what I'm very happy about is that people trying to be able to fix their own machines. Definitely try to put your money where your mouth is. See if when you buy robots or anything that has agents running in it, do you have access to the source code? For example, is it an open source project or partly at least? Are you able to repair it because you don't need more junk? And also the reason I say, are you able to repair it? Meaning, can you turn off the sensors that you know are there? Are there actually blueprints for that? Is there a CAD model available? To keep your family and your people safe. For example, I'm a major tech nerd. I love to tinker all the time. The first thing I do with most of machines, like I take out the camera, not turn it off. I take it out physically. There, the cable's gone. Things like that. People call me paranoid from time to time, but since I went to technical university, I see what my friends could do with like 5 minutes of their time. That made me just very aware. Make sure when you're buying new machines, especially robots, before you enter them in your house, what does it have access to, and what can you turn off yourself?
It's so crazy that he's talking about like, oh, when you buy a robot, make sure you take the camera out, right? Because that's the future we're heading into, guys. A lot of people are going to have robots in their house doing things for them. And, you know, it may seem like really far away from now, but it might not be. They're going to get so cheap where it's like, you'll be the one left out if you don't have a robot in your house.
Look at Roomba.
Yeah, that's true.
It's already happening.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. All right. Anything else from a governance standpoint? Or,
Go. Laughing now because I feel like you need to look at my computer. I just felt so concerned after listening to him. So that's how I'm feeling right now. But to answer the question, I think what you should take away or what you should remember in 3 years' time. Do you know Brené Brown? Most millennials do.
I do.
She's great. But I read her book, and she has an exercise in one of her books. I don't remember which one, but it said that it's very important to you to write down 3 core values that you carry as a person. Mm-hmm. And I really encourage you all to do so, because that is my reminder of what to be stubborn about, like what I should stay true to. And one of the words is compassion that I have, that I carry with myself everywhere I go, where I engage, what I build. Mm-hmm. And you should look back in 3 years and see if you have, because there's so much noise out there. There's so many different ways of doing or just accomplishing one goal, right? So it's very easy to drift and to feel confused. And I guess that's just the journey of life. But if you really have some core values that you bring with you, it would just make everything so much clearer, and it calms me at least. Yep. And the secret is, this is kind of the analogy I'm trying to bring to a company. Yep. And that is really what a nation is doing as well, if you think about it. What makes a nation? Yep, the core values. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Remember that.
Thank you so much. And Asuka, yeah?
Okay. What I wish we remember in 3 years is the fact that we were young. So I wish we look back in 3 years and think, okay, we were a little bit stupid, but we were trying our best. Is something that I wish I could be thinking around. What I mean is now we are trying to chase, okay, how to hack, how to use AI, for example, or how to advance technology, which is really talking about really a short-term goal. But eventually, we want to make the world better. We want to live a great life. So maybe how we have to be reframing our goal is thinking a little bit beyond maybe next few years, but longer. So yeah, maybe what I really want us to thinking in 3 years is reflect back like we were just thinking about tomorrow instead of like a longer term, and maybe thinking in a different way by then, so that we can actually build better life for your own self and also as a human as a whole.
Great advice, guys. Thank you so much for those insights. Thank you so much. All right, excellent, guys. Now we want to open it up to the audience for Q&A. Yes, Ganga, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So I try not to take all my things from sci-fi because I like Warhammer, and that's the place you definitely don't want to be. Very, very dark place. To simply answer your question, I would say look at defense tech. It's already violating that first law, right? Automated as well. Regardless of how I feel personally about that, but we are way past that already. And how to keep it in check, I would have no idea. There will have to be like no financial incentive to do so, and that's again very hard to change. It would have to come down to the companies themselves. My company, we do that ourselves. There's four core pillars, as you said, with governance. That when we set up the company, regardless of how much money people would offer us, we would just not do. But that's definitely a personal decision you have to make, and it's very hard to do so nowadays.
Anything out there?
Yeah, I feel like it's really hard to have one law, one policy that's a blanket solution for everything, because I sound like a philosopher sometimes, and I'm so self-conscious about it, but I feel like we're very complex beings as humans, and I think for companies it's almost the same because it's very personalized. So I think it's a thing where you need to just use intuition and not just make a hard written rule on every decision or how you operate. So I think the solution to it, I don't know if it's the right solution, but I think it's about also building with the right people.
Yep.
We share values and who want to do well as much as possible. Sometimes you have circumstances that don't always allow that. Of course, it's very ideal, but I think it's one of those things you cannot just, here is one rule and everyone should follow it step by step. It's too dynamic.
All right, cool, excellent. Yes.
Hope that answers.
Yes.
It is very possible. I wouldn't say it's impossible because already some countries are getting governed, semi-governed by AI, like Albania. I think this was last year. The prime minister just put in AI to run their government. But yeah, I think it is very, very possible. I don't know how it will work out. I'm not a geopolitics expert, and I know people are ignorant enough to let it go through. So there is that. But I think it would be a huge mistake. So that's my take on it.
I think what we have to discuss even further is, okay, by AI governing us, like what's behind actual AI itself as well, because AI itself doesn't really have agenda. So somebody is actually setting the agenda for AI. So who is actually doing that is something that we really have to uncover. So it's actually for people. It's not really for like a one individual or specific group of the people.
Very good point, yeah.
I would like to add, this conversation is something I have with founders globally. And I noticed like a trend that mostly founders that are from the richer countries, I would say, the global West, I would say they are very much afraid of what they are gaining to lose by AI governing them. Well, founders from the global South seem very excited because they see, well, maybe things will become more fair because a computer decides now. It's no longer a human in the loop, where there's something to say for both situations where people want to have a human in the loop, but they're like, no, they're corrupt and they've been mistreating us. And otherwise, like, I hope there's no human in the loop because then it will be all fair. So it's definitely something to be said for both use cases. And I guess we're going to see that play out in real time.
Very interesting take. Anything to add?
I really like that answer. Because it really depends always. It's not either good or bad, right? Like the knife. And yeah, I feel like being optimistic nowadays is super hard. But I think that's when you need to be even more than ever. This is very political, if you think about it. It's also polarization. So it depends on who you talk to. Like he said, global South, global West. But if you see that reaction, especially with an oligarchy that is now really mostly ruling most things, it is signaling something that we need to do something and stop talking about it.
Yep.
So
hopefully this inspires you guys to do something on your end as well. And we're going to talk about the one last thing I want to get from you guys, and then I'm going to share some resources with you as well, is what's the one thing that everyone can take away to protect themselves or to do something in the future? What is one thing that you think that they can do on, maybe they're not founders, maybe they're just employees at work, right? What's the one thing they can do to protect themselves in the age of AI that we're going into? Ash, let's start with you. Yeah.
I mean, we talked a lot about security. I think one also important thing is preserve knowledge. Because from the previous question, it made me remember, actually, it reminded me that some companies and some countries are trying to inject AIs, like the mainstream ones, with fake data to push certain agendas. And that's kind of related also to the governance and policy that are like changing to the whim of the creator of the AI. So yeah, preserve knowledge, preserve actual skills, because I think that is very important to the future of humankind as a whole, not even as a company or as a capitalistic mindset. This is just for the better of all, let's say.
Great. Anything else? Anyone? Yeah, ask it.
I think one of the takeaway I personally had a discussion here is AI isn't really something that human is competing against, but it's just a different thing. So it's really about how understanding and thinking how to actually live with AI, or maybe co-develop with AI. So that's something that I thought about, and maybe that's what as us as a whole we have to think about.
Anyone else? Anything else?
I would say, I feel like with information that's so accessible to us through social media and just internet, I think we're very quick to judge. So one thing, I'm still trying to learn this, who I'll judge, right? But I'm really trying to teach myself to observe before I judge. So I think in your day-to-day, in your work, try to understand. It's not just about knowledge, like whatever you read, facts. It's also about using EQ. You heard this before too. I think it's even more important now, because that's the one thing that AI doesn't have. It can say nice things, but it doesn't actually feel it.
It'll never feel it, for sure.
Yeah, the connection. So I think just bringing that, just dare to do that.
Anything? Last one?
Yeah, I loved all your answers, seriously, guys. And to move a bit what Aska said as well, the data that's been ingested by these models, be very, very mindful. When you're using a product, regardless of who makes it, who gives it for free, or you're paying for it, I would say follow the money. Who's funding that data? Who's funding that model? Definitely check. What's the motives? What's the portfolio? What do they own? That will tell you more about what's going to happen with the AI than anything else. And secondly, I know that's one thing, but I'm a bit cheeky. The second thing I would say is try to educate yourself. And you don't have to be a software engineer. You don't have to be deep. Hell, I've learned most of the things from YouTube and forums, to be honest. Is to say, check Hugging Face, check open source communities, and learn a bit of the basics of AI. Start with NLP and basic things. You don't have to know everything, but just to have an idea. So when these things are being discussed, or when you have the ability to vote on these things, you can be like, hey, but you own such and such. No, it doesn't matter. No, you're not making the AI. You can't do this. Yeah.
Awesome. Give them a round of applause, guys. Thank you so much for those insights, everyone. We're just about done, but first I want to just bring up this. This was an episode from the Diary of a CEO, most recent episode this week. I watched the whole thing and was on the edge of my seat. This is an ex-OpenAI researcher, Daniel Coco-Tallo, I think. Some of the insights he had in that episode were insane. He is the guy who worked deep in OpenAI, researching, and forecasting a lot of the future of what's going to happen. He has 2 interactive research scenarios. You guys can actually interact with these. It's really fascinating, the scenarios that he has. This one's a very scary one, AI 2027. This one here is AI 2040. That's his preferred plan. That's the one he's pushing towards governments to adopt for governance and for things like that. Definitely take a look at these. Very interesting research, and I highly recommend listening to this. This is a very important episode to watch. And then finally, some practical takeaways from me. Obviously, if you guys have any input on this, love it as well. 2-factor authentication, I think is the simplest, easiest thing we can all do, right? Limit what AI agents can do with your confirmation. I was just looking at today, coworker asked me, would you like me to do this every time I have this task or just sometimes? I'm like, at least pause and wait for a moment before you say allow all, okay? Really think deeply, what could this tool do behind your back or in the background, right? Please don't trust AI by default. Yes, they're smart. They're not 100% smart. They hallucinate. They do things all the time, right? Cross-reference things, right? Critically think about the outputs that you're getting because they're not all correct. You guys seen this, right? Like, I use it all the time, and I see things all the time that are just blatantly false or they're just like hallucinated. So please make sure you guys don't trust everything by default. Like you had said about the companies, right? Like discerning which companies to follow the money. Ask how the companies you interact with who are building an agent or something like this decides what to do with you, with your data or whatever, right? It's very important. And then verify what you see online, obviously. Try to cross-reference things with all your friends, closer partners. And this is for Alejo's robot situation. Know where the off switch is, okay? If a robot is coming at you with a knife or something, you want to make sure you know how to turn it off, okay? Like, please make sure you guys know how to turn off your AIs, and that's very important. And then guys, I just want to say thank you all for being part of this conversation. I just want to leave with this quote by Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world, because indeed it's the only thing that ever has. You all are now part of that conversation. What I want you to do is keep this conversation going after this, right? Talk about what you heard, share it with somebody who wasn't in the room, and push for change, whether that be the legislative level or at the company level, within your own companies, the companies that you're making. Please make sure that you have this at the top of mind, because we all have a say. It might not seem like it now, but we do all have a say. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you coming out. Thank you.